You are listening to Nicholas Acosta with Downtown Expert Realty in Orlando, Florida. Host of the podcast, Home to All, an all-inclusive real estate podcast. Nick sits down with guests to talk about how real estate works. You can check out his podcast at www.downtown.expert or 407-508-8809. Facebook and Instagram at downtown.expert. Enjoy the episode.
And good afternoon, everybody. This is Nicholas Acosta, licensed real estate broker here in Orlando, Florida, with Downtown Expert Realty. This is the Home to All podcast coming to you live today, Tuesday. It is September 29th, 2020, and now 11:01 a.m. This show in this segment is sponsored by Blanchard Insurance, and I'm joined today by Allie and Jamie over there at Blanchard Insurance. Allie and Jamie, good morning. How are you guys doing?
Good morning. Good. How about you?
Doing very well here. I had a really awesome weekend. Had an open house in Kissimmee and one of my listings, and then in Orlando. So about 25 people between both open houses that showed up in person, which was really cool.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. Wow, that's a sign of things, kind of turning the other direction. Now people showing up live. That's great.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And anybody that wanted to get out of this business at one point, now all I can tell you is that it was probably not a good move because it's getting busier again for sure. I was really busy this weekend, and I actually had a showing yesterday at my Kissimmee listing, and then I have another showing today at my Kissimmee listing and doing open houses again next weekend. But how are you guys doing? How's everything going over the insurance world over there at Blanchard Insurance?
Oh, it's good. It's busy. It is busy. Very. The last few months really have been record-breaking for us, and we have made a lot of new partnerships and clients and helped a lot of people. So it's exciting, and I think that through the whole COVID situation, things are still moving along for us, and we haven't skipped a beat with that. So we're just happy to be helping people right now.
Well, that's awesome, guys, because, things have been great. So what is it like? What's going on in the insurance world right now? Probably with the U.S. government on the verge of, or, the drug companies are on the verge of getting a vaccine for COVID. I think I talked to you guys last week that I said something about how I was part of the trial with Pfizer. So far, I'm doing well. I mean, and another thing, too, I was going to ask you guys as well is that I was reading something because I'm actually doing the Gold Key certification. That's what I've been working on. And basically, they've been talking about, new sorts of liability coming out with COVID. And we just talked about how I had like 14 people on Sunday at an open house, and then I had 8 on Saturday. What are you guys getting any real estate agents out there asking for new kind of coverage when it comes to errors and omission insurance that could cover somebody in regards to somebody getting the virus if they did get it somewhere at an open house?
We have gotten those calls. We write a lot of insurance, real estate E&O and title E&O as well. And the biggest question with the real estate brokers has been what happens if somebody comes in and contracts COVID. Well, I mean, the bottom line of that is you're not going to know where they contracted it from. So it's not going to be specifically linked to your one open house, that they attended or however. So we just say, make sure to prove your safety measures that you're taking, put the hand sanitizer out, gloves and masks, if necessary, watch the type of food that you're serving where people can't double dip for the refreshments, and put a little effort into it, and make sure that when people come in that you've explained your precautionary measures to protect yourself. The insurance companies so far haven't asked for anything additional. But I did have one the other day that was a liability quote we were doing, and the underwriter did come back and ask for some questions about what precautionary measures they're taking for it. So they did have a couple extra questions, but if you have those measures in place already, it was really just a question and answer. They want to make sure that you put some thought and effort into it before binding coverage. So I think that I think just being prepared and putting some thought process behind it is really all they're asking for.
No, I couldn't agree more. I think I had this open houses that I had this weekend. I had a sign company in Orlando make a sign for me that has the face cover notification that you have to wear a face cover in order to enter my open house. We also even took it a step further. I ordered shoe covers from Amazon, and the plastic blue ones that you put over your shoes. One was to protect the floors from dirt or bringing in elements from outside into the house, but also for COVID awareness to make sure that you're not spreading any germs wherever you walked or whatever you're carrying on your feet or your shoes. But also the other thing was we were going sanitizing surfaces and door handles after each group of people left. And actually, where I had it set up, where on Sunday I had a line out the door and I just had them. We didn't allow more than like 5 people in the house at a time. It was a 1,900 square foot home, so pretty big. But I was keeping it to 5 at a time because the rooms were kind of separated, so that way nobody got congested in there and there were too many people around each other. So we were definitely taking the precautions here at Downtown Expert Realty to keep everybody safe, and it went really smoothly. And also, it's a funny thing is that it's going on is that the other thing that I noticed that people are very cooperative now with signing in and giving their information. And actually, I'm having my spouse hold the sign-in sheet, and then they're relaying the information, so nobody has to touch anything like the paper or anything. And I've taken an upper step that I'm no longer I'm not at this time not serving any water or food or refreshments at all until a vaccine is well in place and people are safe and comfortable again.
That makes sense. Extra precaution is always
Next thing you know, you'll have branded hazmat suits for people.
Right? That'd be interesting. We're like, why are people going in that house with hazmat suits and like shields on their face? Like an astronaut or a space person.
When they all come in their suits.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is scary. I do remember that movie being a little scary when I was younger, but that is the scariest part of it.
No, I agree.
I think you're going to have hazmat suits with Downtown Expert Realty all over.
Sponsored by Blanchard.
Sponsored by Blanchard Insurance all over.
That'll be interesting. So what else, guys, ladies, what else is going on with you guys over at Blanchard in terms of like, what are you seeing out there in addition to this that we're talking about when it comes to insurance and, people's concerns or fears out there with what the world's like today?
A lot of people have yesterday even, some people, we've had some calls of people starting businesses through this whole thing. So I think that it's turned some career paths from one thing to another.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, maybe they were scared with whatever industry they were in. We've actually been able to recruit during this time period from some other industries into the insurance industry. So I think that the fears are kind of turning to opportunities now. So hopefully more people can take advantage of that. And maybe now that the shock, has kind of worn off, they can focus in other directions, go back to school, get educations, get licensing, continue licensing. We've taken this time to put a lot of our agents through additional licensing. Yesterday we had calls yesterday even about general liability insurance for people starting.
My fiance even, he's always had a side hustle. I mean, he still has his job through all of this, thank goodness. But he started an LLC and he started turning his woodworking hobby into a bit of a career. So he got some liability through us and stuff. So I think more people are kind of looking at turning those at-home hobbies into how can I make this income producing. So we've been definitely getting those calls and been helping people with that.
So I think there's a lot of, in the end, maybe, more has come out of this than what people expected. I mean, we've personally made some changes here and we have rebranded now as well.
We took the time to rebrand during all of this. So that was exciting.
So Allie's been in charge of that. And we have a new website. Nick, if you want to pull it up, we have a new website. We have a new logo. And if anybody knows us from before, we had a horse head logo.
We had a horse head. The original brand was around UCF, which we love. but we've kind of
In the
expanded
military.
in the
Military too. We have
But
a
the-
veteran founder. And
yeah, but the horse
came
head
from that.
stemmed from primarily
UCF.
UCF and being Central Florida based, but we've expanded to be statewide and even nationwide. So we're kind of expanding our brand to match that. So
That is another thing we've taken on too during this time, is becoming more of a national brand. And we've been working on, writing business in some other states, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Colorado, even Allie's home state of Colorado. Yep. So we've definitely been able, same with the opportunities that we mentioned other people are taking advantage of. We've been growing in that direction as well. So Allie, take us through the website a little bit. That looks great.
Yeah, thanks. It's all new. We have, if you want to go to the quotes tab, we have a whole new quote form for clients to request directly. There's a service form people can fill out, just get any questions answered online, request any line of insurance, and then it has all of our information. It does not say on there yet, but we're going to add it. You can actually text our main office line directly. So it will say call, email, or text us. So that's kind of fun. That was part of the rebrand, making us just more accessible to everybody.
I think for the service side as well, because as even on the real estate side, you have a certain amount of clients, and then you have to add people to help you, or real estate assistants, or however. And the same with us, as we grow with production, we have to add service staff. Service is our number one priority, and the website is definitely bringing us to another level with that. Requesting service requests, we're getting a lot of text messages already. Can you just check on this? Or, we have a new quote.
Kind of streamlines it.
The new website has definitely made us a bigger Google brand. We've been working on our Google reviews. So Allie, developing the new website has been helpful with our Google searches. So it's just all encompassing. So I think it's a great example of taking a business or a new business and bringing it to another level. And Nick, I know you've done a lot of that with your own brand as well. So you took this time and branded and started your LLC as a brokerage. So what can you say to that?
Oh no, I completely, this has been, as much as a lot of sad things have happened in this time period, but I took this opportunity to get my broker's license, and then I stepped away from EXP and Realty to start my own business, the Downtown Expert. Had the logo created, did some rebranding on the podcast intros, more to come on that. But yeah, this has been the best opportunity. I took advantage of this time. I used my time wisely, and I would say that's probably because for 20 years I worked as a claims adjuster for Progressive, and I worked in that corporate model. And they taught me about, accountability and when you have to get your reviews and all that stuff. So I think that I learned a lot from working for that big insurance company for 20 years, so that now when I'm to be able to create my own corporate business, even though it's an LLC, my plans are eventually to, sell franchises of the brokerage around the country. That's the plan. But, yeah, I mean, and I love you guys' website. I'm looking at it right now, and this is so far as the easiest site I've ever seen for when it comes to an independent insurance agency. Like this right here, the billing and payments, submitted claims, certificate requests. I really like you guys' page on quotes where it was easy to fill out, and I like this right here. My favorite part I'll take away on this website for you guys is I love it where it says take. This is always been my frustration as a consumer, and you guys hit the nail on the head, so to speak. Save time and aggravation while lowering your insurance costs, because we know it's a challenge sometimes when you deal with insurance companies. Is when you go on their website, it can be confusing, and you're like, all I want to know is I want to find out who I can talk to about a quote, because I don't have the time to look around and try to figure out the website. And you guys did a really amazing job with this website of addressing that, because that right there, that pulls me right in. When you guys created that, that's amazing. And it's going to help you guys a lot with the consumers out there. And like you said, when I get buyers, obviously you guys are a great accessible resource for me to send the buyers to and say, hey, you guys need to get insurance for this property or get a quote for this property before we go, with your lender or whatever. Go to them, talk to them, see what they can do for you. And I'll let them know that they have a really easy website to navigate, and they're easy to get a hold of over there at Blanchard. So that's awesome.
all of our agents are on texting, and we get a lot of Facebook messages as well.
We just want to be really available and make it as easy as possible for the client, because you're right, there's a lot of aggravation that comes with insurance and complications on websites and just getting quick answers. So we've really tried to make it as user-friendly as possible.
I definitely think too, you were right on it when you said about Progressive and about the brand, and they have over the years they acquired the American Strategic Insurance, ASI, as their home arm, and have been rolling that in, and we've been watching them rebrand that ASI brand into Progressive, and watch the slow roll of that where people don't get confused. So every few months you'll see them change a little something with the logo or a color, and then all of a sudden it's just going to say Progressive, and it's going to be in relation to their home and auto. So taking a page out of the books from some of the successful corporations like that has definitely been something that we've appreciated. So, and the brand itself, we've never been the getyourcheapestinsurance.com here, that's never, we're looking to, there's value in an insurance policy.
We're really trying to show that and bring the value back. Right. It's not just a piece of paper to get you to closing. You're actually protecting the biggest asset you'll likely ever own. So we're trying to kind of bring that value back in people's minds, because it is a value. And most people think of it as a headache and just a requirement that they don't want. So we're kind of trying to change that perception. And
you get what you pay for. I mean, obviously we're giving the client the most value for the least, expensive options, if that's what they're looking for, with the most value.
And the coverage that is right for them, not cutting coverage when it's just to get the cheapest rate.
Right. We don't use the cheapest rate. We don't need to challenge anything. We know what we have. We know what the value is. We know what the rate is, the premium, and proacting on your side with the real estate agents. The biggest issues we see right now are people getting insurance too late. The underwriting guidelines are strict.
Very. They're changing daily.
Right. So water heaters, air conditioners, roofs, everything is changing daily. We haven't skipped a beat with keeping up with the underwriting guidelines and keeping our partners in the loop. So Nick, if you're at a house and you're about to list it and you have some questions, we can tell you right then what the sellers are going to need to be prepared for to replace or fix before you even have a buyer. And that's really where the value is coming in, is making sure you don't have any of these issues. And for all the buyers out there and people that you're helping with the purchases, just because the sellers had insurance for 20 years and had no problem doesn't mean that the guidelines are going to be acceptable for the new buyer. So just do it quickly and do it in the beginning. And that's, we've made a lot of new partners over the last few months, picking up the slack from a lot of our competition that hasn't been proactive. And we're just, excited about the brand and explaining that and the value. And
even through all the strict changes and underwriting guidelines that have been happening, and obviously people have been seeing rate increases and things, having those strong relationships with our partners, we've been able to, like she said, proact and kind of get ahead of some of these rate increases and guideline changes. So we haven't had our partners feel the effect as much, because they know what's coming and what to expect. And they're really receptive to the changes because we're getting in front of them. And we're helping our partners through it with their clients and telling them what to expect, what they're going to need.
It's the licensing and the education, Nick, just like you said, your continuing education. You're doing that for a reason, to make sure that you're protecting your clients and you're catching anything that could be an issue coming up. And it's the same reason we do it too.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, even this morning when I woke up, I was like, because I'm been onboarding, we're going to be onboarding somebody else this week or next week when they get their license. But I got two in Pinellas working over there, and I have sent out their information, your information to them as well, to utilize you guys as a resource for your buyers out there or sellers.
I'm connecting you with our West Coast agents next week on the show, so that's going to be a perfect fit.
Exactly. And that'll be perfect, because they're awesome real estate agents. They were with EXP as well, and they moved over with me. And they actually were the two ladies, the mother and daughter team. And I met them in my first transaction ever as a real estate sales associate over 2 years ago in Gulfport, Florida. That's how I met them. They helped me through the process, and I'm still here. So they did a good job helping me. Now they're independent contractors for my brokerage now. So that's kind of funny how that happened.
Yeah.
Right.
And now they get to rebrand too. So now they're going to be going through the whole branding and changes from EXP over to you, and that's going to be a lot exciting. We some of our insurance teams here, we've teamed people up, and they're working on their brands and their names and their targeted ads that that we're moving over to with Google and Facebook. So that's exciting.
No, definitely. And like this morning, I woke up and because we're talking about continuing education here. Now I have my broker's license, and people are like, Nick, are you gonna have to take a break? But the other thought in my head was I've already reached out to a real estate school to find out what my requirements are to get my instructor's license as a real estate broker, so I can teach it with credit hours and stuff like that, for continuing ed and stuff, or the pre-license course for real estate sales associates type stuff. Yep.
Yeah. If you ever need help with CE for any of them as well, we have a CE instructor that's certified for real estate continuing education, and he teaches a cyber insurance class on what to
2 classes.
Yeah, specializes in it's cyber and protect yourself from lawsuits.
Okay.
So, on the real estate agent side, so they're really interesting classes. He brings up a lot of examples about what to watch out for, what lawsuits are kind of been happening, or that he can disclose, and what to watch out for. So there's a lot of value in partnering with different vendors, and you just need to make that trust circle. So that's what I would do that with.
I completely agree with that. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm interested in the cybercrime thing, because the other thing I think I talked to Mike before was, and maybe with you too, Jamie, but was the web company I use, like when I was studying for the Graduate Realtor Institute and got that certification and the ePro certification. They talked a lot about American Disability Act compliance for your websites and having that piece added. And of course, they say out there a lot of big companies out there, brokerages, because it costs money. There's code involved, and it costs a lot of money for an IT person or a web person to create the code to make it ADA compliant. But they had mentioned my web service, or web guy in particular, said to me that he works with a lot of big attorneys in Florida or all over the country. And one of his attorneys got slapped with a lawsuit because they weren't ADA compliant on their website. And then when I heard that story from him, I'm like, let's go ahead and take care of this. I know this costs money up front, and it's going to be a little hefty on price. However, in the long run, it's good to have this protection, because you want to make sure that you are, because to me, it's all about that comes down to the whole fair housing or equal housing opportunity. It's not just about, your background, your ethnicity, your race, and all that stuff, or your gender or sexual orientation. It's also about, if you have a disability, I want to make sure that anybody who has any kind of disability, whether it be hearing or vision, that they are going to be able to partake in the normal activities of our society and not be excluded because your website is not up to code with ADA compliance. So that's what I've taken that initiative in my brokerage to highly encourage my sales associates to add that to their websites as well, and then to the primary website for our for the brokerage has ADA.
One of the reasons that we had to push our website brand change, or our web serve, what is it, the host, I guess you can call, because there was, I'll use the word bust, but it was going around even for insurance agency websites that they needed to be ADA compliant. So you'll see the little wheelchair on ours for the ADA compliance, and the vendor we were using, they didn't have the resources available to add that, and we kept getting the runaround, and it was something that we really felt was important. So one of the pushes with changing the host in the back end for the website was being able to do that. And I don't think that was even an added enhancement.
No, it was actually part of the basic. It's becoming so expected, and general, every website has it. It was part of the basic package with our new host website.
So any business starting,
I think that's how it should be.
Yeah, I would definitely, make sure that you're finding somebody that has that already included. And then we've been writing a good amount of cyber liability insurance lately too, for title companies, title abstract search companies, real estate brokers for the cyber liability. If anything, any information is shared through somebody's website or something is hacked, and you've got to show that you've got some coverage for that to protect yourself as well. So there's value in all of that as being somebody's broker or agent or title representative to having those, securities in place. And that's one thing that we've definitely been growing on our side too, is the need of resources for the cyber liability.
No, every time I have a chat with you guys on our weekly segment, I'm like going through the list, putting down a list, like I've got to get in touch with them because now I've got to add this to my brokerage, like the cyber liability, which I completely agree with, because I think I got some kind of message. I want to say it was like Facebook or something, or no, I have one of those credit alert systems or whatever it's called, Identity IQ or something like that. And then they asked me to log in to Identity IQ through Facebook through Identity IQ. So if anybody does try to do anything like hack or take over my Facebook account, which has, I have a business page like you guys do, but even personal side, because you never know, somebody could try. How does this work? I was going to ask you this question. You got both of you. So if I have a personal page, or another real estate broker or real estate agent or sales associate, broker associate has a real estate page or a personal Facebook, but they also have a business page, right? Like most of us do. And for instance, something were to come up or said in the wrong way on a personal page, would the cyber liability cover you for both or just the business? Because what happens if somebody tries to hack and put something inappropriate or does something wrong on your personal page, and with it says licensed real estate broker, on the description on who you are and your profile, and they're going to say, well, this person's a real estate broker, we want to come after him for whatever he posted or something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, I think that's more slander, or if you want to call it malicious slander, and the cyber liability is more going to come into place for hacking information. And getting into, if you had a database somewhere in your computer of all of your clients and you had social security numbers or something and it was hacked for that reason, that's where the cyber liability is going to come in place. Now with social media, that's a whole other topic for another day, but that's a good one. Yeah, we should put that down on the list for what you need to do to protect yourself with social media. So that's actually a really good idea to talk about on the next one, because you're right, the personal page, the business page, it's complicated. Where are you protected at? I mean, every business already deals with the same thing with Google and Google reviews. So somebody leaves a bad review, I mean, typically it's because there's some sort of misunderstanding, or some issue. You can respond to it, but you can't delete it, which is fair. You want to see people's, good and bad reviews. But it's a really easy way for people to slander people. Right. So where is the line on that, and what comes into play on that? So I think that's definitely something we should slot for a talking point.
No, I like that. That's a good topic, because it's always on my mind. I mean, I'm watching everything I ever do on social media. I'm very cautious about what I post and what I write and how I respond, especially when I went through the broker's course and the post-license course. They talked about how there's a level of responsibility as a managing broker that, like you said, you can respond to a comment. Like I've had postings of listings of mine, the listings I currently have, and it was shared on, like, I don't know, one of the Orlando real estate groups or whatever, a public group where you can share your listings. And somebody wrote, I don't know exactly, I'm not quoting it, but along the lines of, hey, that's a piece of garbage house and it's overpriced. What's wrong with you? Why would you try to promote a house this is a ridiculous amount of money? Go build your own house or something like that. So that was an example of what they were talking about in my course and in my the post-license course. And basically with that was, what did it say? I responded basically just saying in a generic way, but also professional, and not in a way, because they talk about how you don't want to escalate the situation, obviously. So we're gonna have a good chat next week, probably about the social media liability too, because that's a good topic about escalation of getting people's anger or emotions going. So basically, what I said is that my seller's house or my listing is priced appropriately based on comparative analysis that was ran and also verified by the seller, as well as, based off of the tax records or whatever it was like.
Yeah, some disclosure.
But it was a very, I guess, subjective answer where I didn't escalate his situation. He didn't write back to me saying, "What's wrong with you? You're lying," or, "What's wrong with you trying to rip people off," or, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm talking about. And it's definitely a good topic for us to talk about next time or whenever I went on the show.
There was something the other day, real quickly, that I saw on a Facebook on a business page, and the guy was sharing some reviews of something local in town, and then of course somebody got on the comments and was like, "You're bleep 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 bleep. Why would you like that restaurant?"
Yeah.
Right.
Right, and it was the stupidest thing. And then it was his business page. He was trying to do the community a service by comparing a couple different restaurants, and this guy just tore him up, and it was just really unnecessary.
People have nothing better to do with their time.
Right, and then so you have to think about that when you start with this, when you open a business, and what are you going to get involved in? Are you going to say political things? Are you going to say religious things? Are you going to stay away from everything? How are you going to handle your social media?
Those negative comments.
Are you going to respond? Or are you going to keep a cool head, like you said? So you almost need a class just for. I guess we should start a class.
Hey, I'll help you. We can all do a class together, a Zoom class or whatever, or in person. I'll come to you guys in the office if you invite me down there, which I know you would. Anyhow,
The things nobody tells you about starting a business.
Right. No, and yes. Because I don't know what part of Florida you're in. I know you're over in Altamont Springs, but I don't think the leaves look like that today in Altamont.
Yeah,
daydreaming.
The cold front coming in this week. We're hoping we see some of this.
Or maybe that's Wekiva Springs behind you, right?
Yeah, there you go.
Is that what Wekiva Springs is like right this time of year? In September or almost October? No, I'm kidding. But no, that's a good class to have about that because, and I'll just tell you real quick before we go, that's my thought is I've already taken a stance with my brokerage, and it's in my my independent contractor manual and my mission statement to not address or to comment like in relation to business. Like I said, politics are off the table. Like if you go to a buyer appointment, a seller appointment, listing appointment, whatever it may be, even when I meet with vendors like yourself or anything like that, title, insurance, mortgage brokers, I keep politics out of it, and that's just a practice because I don't want to get in a heated debate with anybody and get anybody angry.
That is our stance as well, but there are definitely different opinions, and I saw a whole Facebook chain just on that. What is your opinion? I can't remember who posted it, but it was hundreds of comments of, I want people to see me as I am, and this is my view, and the way they like me or they won't, but everybody's personal opinion.
No, I agree, definitely, and well, so one other thing too is that when talking about the social media posts and like the liability in social media, which we'll talk about next week, the thing I have is when I worked for Progressive and I was a claims adjuster, as you guys all know, we've got depositions quite a bit for a file, even though we're doing what the company guidelines tell us to do. The attorneys want to interview and, interrogate you and ask you questions. And sometimes they ask you personal questions and then you got to tell them, no, that has nothing to do with my file. So don't ask me that question. And they've always told us that in insurance for the 20 years I was in it, that like when we have claim notes, and we put in notes in the claim, because sometimes adjusters in different insurance companies or different insurance businesses or different lines of service, whether it be flood insurance or auto insurance, they always tell you, don't say something personal or insulting toward a claimant in your notes, because we all know that's happened. We've seen that before. Because what they always did, and Progressive always told us, when you go to court and you're in front of the judge when they're trying to settle a case or go over a case, they're going to put it on. They're going to print it out or put it on a projection and show you your claim notes right in front of everybody, in front of the jury when they're trying to make a decision. And so my stance has always been apply that to social media. That if you say something inappropriate about people on your brokerage or in business in general, or make some kind of inappropriate comment, somebody's going to use it against you in court and blow that thing up and put it on a wall and say, here, this is what Nick wrote at Downtown Expert Realty, or what Jamie and Allie wrote at Blanchard Insurance, and they're going to put it embarrass you the heck out of you in court, right?
I wish people would remember that when they're posting comments and posting things on Facebook, that it could be used against them anywhere, at any time, on a billboard on I-4, if somebody wanted to.
An attorney gets really angry at somebody writing something, they'll put it on the billboard with the money they can afford to put it on there with. So, yep.
Billboards, there'd be a lot of them. Yeah, the attorney billboards. Yeah, those, we all know about those.
Right. Oh, we can't afford billboards. That's too expensive for me, but it's all good. I don't have time to post Facebook comments on a billboard on the I-4, though. I don't have that kind of money. Sorry. No, that'd be, well, I hope new attorneys were listening and got an idea, because now we're going to start seeing Facebook comments on the billboard.
You want credit.
We're going to be like, excuse me, we're going to take that to court and be like, that was our idea, by the way. Can we at least have a piece of the action from it because you took our idea? No, I'm kidding.
Well, just like we said, pay attention to the branding Progressive does and take a page out of that book, and take a page out of how the attorneys are so successful with some of that marketing, commercials and billboards and things like that. And there's a lot to think about when starting a business, and I definitely think that all of this is part of that. So,
well, awesome.
Managing people when you bring them on, or managing employees. And what COVID has, the stress that it's come on to some of these bigger corporations and employees. And I know that I've heard stories of big corporations with internal employees, shooting off rampant emails to the whole company of how the world is, coming down and everybody's going to die, right? So like stuff like that, and HR stuff, and just managing people, and the liability that company has for employees to fly off the handle.
Right. Or I knew people, and I'm not going to mention, we already mentioned it, but I knew people that would send emails directly to the CEO of a company that I used to work for. And then the employee getting in so much trouble from the local regional management because they sent something. Basically, they were trying to turn the regional management team into the CEO, and the CEO is like, what the heck are you doing? I don't, there's a chain of command. Don't send me this email. I'm too busy running the organization. I don't have time to get these kind of emails. So, and that could be
there's a lot involved.
Right. And it's like the email you're talking about, like people trying to scare everybody in the company and threatening them. Like, if, nobody's, they're out to get us or whatever they want to write in their emails, which is inappropriate. And that all can be used against you. Huh?
I've heard a lot of that happening with a lot of the bigger corporations, and examples of that lately, just because of people's internal stress, home lives, working from home, and they don't know how to handle that. And, that's another level of insurance those corporations have to cover, people flying off the handle and things happening in the workplace. So that's just another layer.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the traditional, office violence out loud in person, but now that's another topic for another day. That's it's like cyberbullying or cyber harassment, maybe, for that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like that. Yep.
But we're excited to be, rebranded and fresh and rolled out, and excited to announce, that on your show today. And next week too, we have a couple of our West Coast agents we're going to be introducing, Haley and D'Antonio, and they're working on big things over there, mortgage protection products, and rounding out their accounts with all different layers of insurance. So we're going to have them on talking to you about that. So that'll be exciting. Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. And Allie, nice to officially meet you face to face over StreamYard. Yeah, when I had it's an amazing partnership that I have with you guys as Blanchard Insurance, and I look forward to next week, and definitely going to be reaching out to you guys about the cyber liability insurance because I want to be able, and that's another thing, like you said, Jamie, is that, and anybody listening or watching us today, these are tools in your tool belt that you can add to also attract real estate agents to your brokerage. If you're a broker out there, a real estate broker, adding these tools and giving your independent contractors more peace of mind and also more protection, that will make people more loyal and want to work with you and help you succeed and grow the business with you. So that's awesome, ladies.
Yeah, wonderful. Good. I'm glad we could have some laughs today.
Me too. Well, that's awesome. So we got plenty of topics. So I was, like I said, everybody, I was in insurance for 20 years, and it's always exciting to me to talk about insurance with these ladies and Mike and Andrew last week as well. And thank you guys, and have a good day. Anything you want to say before I go? Like just a tip or an piece of advice for today before we end the show?
Just positive thoughts, guys. There's a lot of negativity in the world, and just keep thinking positive, and reach out to us for anything.
Any questions, anything, just
We'll help
text,
you.
email, all of it. We're accessible. So
And stay warm out there in the forest with the fall colors out there. I'm just kidding. All right, guys. This has been Home to All. What's that?
okay, thanks for having me.
You're welcome, ladies. No, thank you guys for being on with me. This has been Home to All, an all-inclusive real estate podcast coming to you live from downtown Orlando. This show is sponsored by Blanchard Insurance. You can get them at 407-788-8640 or BlanchardInsurance.com. Check out their new logo. Check out their rebranded website. And again, Nicholas Acosta here, licensed real estate broker, Downtown Expert Realty LLC, downtown.expert on the web, at downtown.expert on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram. Have a great day, ladies. Everybody listening today, and I'm going to roll the credits. Have a good day, ladies, again. Take care.
You too.
Thank you for listening to Nicholas Acosta with Downtown Expert Realty in Orlando, Florida, and host of the podcast, Home to All, an all-inclusive real estate podcast. Check out his website, www.downtown.expert or 407-508-8809. Facebook and Instagram at downtown.expert. See you next time.